Hello and welcome to another Pie and Smith production. We're going to be reviewing day 10 of the PDC World Darts Championships. That took place on Sunday, the 27th of December, where there was 6 games. Firstly, I would like to just say thanks for tuning in to the worst betting and tipping service for darts on YouTube, because yesterday I said that Simon Whitlock was my bet. He got absolutely smashed 4-0. Then I said that I was backing Johnny Clayton. He was 2-0 up in the deciding set against Joe Cullen and lost the next 3 legs and lost 4-3. And then also I said that Ricky Evans would take a set off Michael van Gerwen. Ricky averaged just over 100 and lost all 4 sets 3-2. So it was an excellent day of punting for me to compound my shocking form in the World Championship. But we're having a good time. And there's Mr. Pieman laughing. So I'll hand you over for comment to Mr. Matt Pieman Hill.
Cheers, Adam. I think you've been a bit harsh on yourself there, to be honest. I think you've made plenty of good points throughout this tournament. And let's not brush over Ryan Searle, who's marched on into round 4. You're 25-1 quarter selection, who's looking in a fantastic nick. But yeah, let's run through the games. And to be honest, where else to start but with Simon Whitlock, someone else who I put up, was very, very keen on his prospects. Been a great year for Simon. And I don't know, I was expecting big things out of Simon. And it was so disappointing because he just didn't turn up. And it's one of those where you end up throwing the phone book out the window. You know, everything you've seen in recent months all goes awry because of one day where nothing goes in. His doubling was the difference here. By the time he got his scoring sorted, and his scoring by the third and fourth set for me, he was probably as good, if not the better scorer than Ratajski, but it was far too late, and the doubles just weren't going in. To be honest, Ratajski wasn't absolutely vintage himself. He was 12 out of 25, 12 out of 35 on the doubles. That's not going to be enough to win many games such as this. But Whitlock, 6 from 29 on the doubles. I mean, that is the complete opposite to what we've seen all season from Simon Whitlock. Really strange one to try and figure out. He's actually averaged more than his opponent, but we know that can be because of attempts at double and whatnot. So wouldn't read too much into that. Wasn't a great performance from Simon. Going 2-0 down to Ratajski is always going to be a hard task, to be honest, because the Polish Eagle is a very solid player, and he will solidify his place further in the top 16 thanks to this run. And definitely a player on the rise. The only problem with Ratajski has been he's always been a bit of a floor player who's never really transferred it to the big stage. This was a really big win for him, one of the biggest in his career, to be honest. And to do it 4-0, I think even he was a bit surprised in the post-match interview. He said, I don't really understand how I've won that 4-0. Simon was way off his best and stuff, but disappointing for Whitlock. Brilliant for Ratajski, and probably not a game that makes me rethink about either player massively, to be honest. I'm happy to put a line through it as a bad day at the office for Simon Whitlock, and maybe a bit of an opportunity missed for the Aussie, to be honest.
Oh, it was painful viewing for someone like me who'd back Whitlock and not used to seeing that from him. Like, it was just a stinker, or just an all-round stinker. He can lose matches. Everyone can lose matches, but it's just a stinker. The finishing was just way off, and the scoring, and he was beating up the board. And I saw there was comments about the damage his darts were causing to the board, but maybe that's one for another day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was that was basically how my day started and how it mean to go on from a betting perspective. But there was, as Pieman says, there was a glimmer of hope for me, given that Ryan Searle managed to beat Kim Hybricks 4-2. Good game. Strange start to it. The first 3 sets all went with throw 3-0. So that was a little bit strange. And then the 4th set was actually 3-1. So which Ryan Searle took against throw. So yeah, I was happy for him to be through. Like I say, I'm on him at 200 to win the whole thing, 25 to win the quarter. He's now into the last 16. So yeah, fingers crossed. He can keep the run going, but maybe not the best of quality from either of them. I think, as you made a point beforehand, Pieman, in terms of maybe they saw the opening that they had, the chance that they had ahead of them, potentially, into the 4th round. The averages were 91 and 90, so not the best of quality, but I'm happy that Searle's through nonetheless.
Yeah, and I think it's understandable to have games like this. You're always going to have games like this. And from a darts, from a purist perspective, there's nothing better than watching 2 players who are playing around, maybe 7, 8 out of 10 on their game. They've got a couple of levels to find if they can find them. and it just ends up being a good old scrap. As another game in the form of Clayton versus Cullen, which we'll come on to, turned out to be very similar games, both of them. Yeah, I think the occasion gets to these players sometimes. It's easy to bowl over with people who are averaging 100 and something and have won 4-0, but sometimes the caliber of your opponent is more important. And here, two very evenly matched players, two players who knew that they would have an opportunity to get through to a last 16 game with probably James Wade, who is not as fearsome as, say, a Michael Van Gerwen or a Gerwyn Price. It's a massive opportunity for both of these lads. They're both trying to get up the rankings. They're both in the late 30s in the rankings, just outside the top 32. One of them knew that they were going to be able to get into that top 32 with a win here, and as it was, Ryan Searle, brilliant for him. Felt a bit sorry for Kim Huybrechts. He took too long to get going, and he found himself in the difficult position of being 3-2 down, and by that sixth set, it was all looking a bit too much for him, but certainly signs from this tournament that he's getting back to the old Kim Huybrechts and promising, and looking forward to seeing what kind of 2021 he can produce, Kim Huybrechts. But Ryan Searle, 8 180s, and on he marches. I wouldn't want to be playing him at any point, really.
Yeah. And then another Belgium was in the third game, but this Belgian won 4-0 impressively, Dimitri Van den Berg against Jermaine Watamina. Wasn't on the top of his game. Van den Berg didn't average as much as he did in his first game against Paul Lim. But, I mean, the facts are there. Dimitri Van den Berg has played 7 sets and won all 7. He's not dropped a set. He's not really looked like dropping a set. He was 3-1, 3-2, 3-1, 3-0 last night. I mean, Watamina is what he is in terms of his, he's quite erratic. Doesn't really perform under pressure on the doubles. But Van den Berg, behind Van Gerwen, who we'll come on to, the most impressive player in this tournament so far.
Yeah, I think you definitely have to say that when you're not dropping sets, and he's not really making hard work of it. To be honest, I was watching that game yesterday, and Jermaine Watamina, in the first set, he probably felt like he should have taken it. First leg of this game was a very interesting one, actually. Watamina a good 200 points ahead. He decided to try and split his double because he was so far ahead. He tried to leave double 8, and he actually ended up going into the wrong bed and leaving 3. And that 3 is the worst finish to leave, really, because not only have you got Madhouse, but you've got to plant that dart in the single 1 first, which takes away a little bit of your aiming space. So to leave that 3 was unforgivable, to be honest. And that is an absolute trademark of Watamina. Very good player, but he has it in his locker to do something silly like that. And it proved so costly. Dimitri had another 3 visits to the board and eventually stole the leg off him. Went on to win the set. Watamina punched his darts case at the end of the set. Punched his darts case again at the end of the second set. Another set where he probably should have at least got darts to win the set, but managed to sort of spurn the opportunity. So I'm watching this thinking, oh, is he making hard work of Watamina here? Then you get to the end of the game and realise that he's averaged just under 98 and won 4-0. And when a player looks like they're not playing that well, but is churning out an average like that, the only players I could think of that do that on a regular basis, Michael Van Gerwen, Gary Anderson when he was at his pomp, Phil Taylor when he was in his pomp, Barney used to do it. I mean, he's in elite company. Snake. He's in elite company there. He looked under par, but he was far from under par, to be honest. He just didn't, just because he didn't put in one of those 100 and something hitting everything performances, he still was ruthless. He took all the opportunities and he hits 180s at key times, Dimitri Van den Berg. And if you're going to have a chance against someone like Michael Van Gerwen, you've got to be able to do that. If he comes in with a 180 on your throw, you've got to be able to respond with another 180. Don't let him bully you. And that's why Van den Berg, that's why we've said so many times, he could be the man to stop MVG if he could get to that quarterfinal. He's 1 step away now. He'll play the winner of Dave Chisnell, Danny Noppert. On the bare form, you would say that will be Dave Chisnell. That will be a good game. But again, I would favour Dimitri to come through it, and I'm really hoping he can set up this quarterfinal with MVG, because I think it could be. It's got all the ingredients to be one of the best games we've ever seen at the Ali Pali.
Yeah, agree. Into the evening session, Johnny Clayton, as I've already mentioned, got done 4-3 by Joe Cullen, unfortunately for me, but was a good game. It was certainly competitive. It was maybe not the highest quality in terms of averages, like you say, similar to Kim Huybrechts and Ryan Searle earlier on in the day, but yeah, Clayton 2-0 down, then rattled off 3 sets, so he's 3-2 up, only needs to win 1 more. Cullen comes out in the 6th set and bashes it 3-0. Clayton possibly playing a little bit defensive, as we've we've alluded to with other games. And then into the final set, Clayton goes 2-0 up. I'm thinking, right, we're quids in here. He was matched at about 1-10 on or something like that, Clayton. And then Joe Cullen comes off and rattles off 3 legs in the decider to take it. And we've seen that a few times. But I think we saw it. Scott Waits did it. Whitlock did it against Labanowskis. Sedlacek got beat. Yeah. He was 2-0 up against Joyce. So this change of format in terms of just going straight in, whoever's first to 3 in that final deciding set. It used to be you had to win by 2 clear legs if it went 2-2. That's gone out the window this year, and it certainly added a different element to the viewership for sure.
Yeah, I think just on that, I think it definitely adds a different mentality to these last sets. Often, you know that you've got to go 2 clear, and there's almost a little bit less pressure on you, because if you do get broken, you've still got the chance to sort of account for the mistake. Whereas now, these last sets do have a feeling of one mistake, and that could be costly. And we do have the case of players getting ahead in them last sets, and then, as you say, playing a little bit defensive or going a bit within themselves, almost waiting for the throw, as I've touched on in previous videos. This always had the look of a close game, didn't it? The market said so. We said so in our video. Very hard to split these two. 2 good friends off the hockey of similar ages and similar ability, to be honest. 2 lads who probably think they're capable of winning tournaments if they could just take that next little step in their career. As it was, Cullen got the win here. Clayton, as you say, 2-0 up in the last set. And it was a back and forth game all the way, so we shouldn't maybe be surprised that the last set ended up going back and forth as well. But just want to give credit to Joe Cullen. Johnny Clayton was waiting on tops. He come to the board with a ton left, knowing he had to take it. He hit a single 20. To then go tops and hit it in that circumstance, I was delighted for him, because, as I've said in a few videos previous, he's had some rotten luck, Joe Cullen. And to be honest, I thought, is this another game he's going to be on the wrong end of, like where he could have won it and he hasn't? I thought maybe like he was going to go the first tops and then get a bounce out or something on the second tops. I was kind of waiting for it. So I was delighted for him when it went in. And I really like Johnny Clayton. I was gutted for him, but one of them had to fall. Joe Cullen goes on to play MVG, who we're going to touch on in a minute. And yes, he'll have to raise his level, but don't discount Joe Cullen. Joe Cullen is one of the players that can raise his level. He knows he has to be way better. He got embroiled in a scrap here. He's going to have to take it up a few levels, but he's capable of doing that. And I think he'll give Van Gerwen a game. I think he can certainly take a set off him, which is something that no one has. Ryan Murray did manage that, but I think he could do that again.
Yeah, well, there's a difference between taking a set off him in a best of 9 sets and pushing him close. I don't think he'll push Van Gerwen, to be honest, on the levels we've seen so far. But yeah, I was watching that yesterday, and like you say, he's got 100 left. It's that single 20, and then the double top goes in, and I just said, I was stood up in my living room, and I just said, "Don't you dare!" And then in it went, and if he followed up, I was a bit gutted, but. That brings us on to Peter Wright, the reigning champion, is out. He's been dumped out by Gabriel Clemens, Pieman's favourite German player, possibly favourite player, full stop. Peter Wright. I mean, we have warned about this. Peter Wright, first set, 3-1, looked lovely. I think Clemens missed a few doubles in one of those legs, but anyway, Peter Wright wins the first set, 3-1. Loses the second set. That's on Clemens' throw, so fair enough. In the third set, Peter Wright was terrible, abject. Loses that 3-0. He was behind in the fourth set until a good finish by him. I think it was a ton plus finish, puts him back in the mood. We've seen that in other games as well. But then, to be fair, it's 3-2 to Clemens. Peter Wright comes back and wins the sixth set, 3-0. And I'm thinking here, right, he's going to go on. I mean, that's a comfortable sixth set for him. And then we're going to the decider, and Clemens didn't blink, to be fair to him. And I thought he was very good. He hit a 180 in the deciding leg, I believe, Clemens. So, yeah, it's absolutely fair play to him. Fair win, no excuses. Was good on the double 16. It's the 180s, as Pieman will tell you. And, yeah, takes it 4-3, the biggest win of his career.
Yeah, a real coming-of-age moment for Gabriel Clemens, and I was absolutely delighted to see it. I think I gave him a little bit of a harsh rap, but I just want to clarify my thoughts on Gabriel Clemens for our viewership, because I'm a massive fan of his. I've been talking him up all year, really, and I'm not surprised at all that he's managed to perform what he did against Peter Wright. But I did say that I didn't think he could win this quarter. And my main worry about that was not the fact that he couldn't beat Peter Wright, but I questioned his ability to follow it up now. And people will look at him now and think, oh, he's beat Peter Wright. He's dangerous against everyone and stuff. I really hope that is the case, because he's certainly good enough, as he showed last night. But he's got to bring that consistency to his game now. We need to be seeing that Gabriel Clemens 8 times out of 10 now. If he's got to become this elite player that he's so capable of being. I've said several times he's a top 10 player in waiting if he could just polish his consistency up. It was great here. A nip and tuck game. And as you say, he got to that last set. He had the throw. And he just, to me, he showed a bit of an elite mentality, to be honest. We've seen a lot of players here in these last sets kind of panic. But he kind of, he went in there with, if I hold my throw 3 times here, you could see he was kind of aiming for 3 12 dart legs, or 3 sort of 12 to 15 dart legs on throw. He was really putting a lot of, he was nodding when he got the ton in, or nodding when he got the 140 in. He knew exactly what he had to do. He showed experience beyond his years. Peter Wright put some pressure on him at big moments, and he responded in that last set. And it was a really impressive performance from the German. There's just so much to like about him as a player. As I say, I'm a massive fan, and I really hope that he could continue to build on it. But yeah, I do have my worries whether it's a classic case of, we saw it a lot with Wayne Mardle in his playing days. He'd go get a massive result against someone, famously when he knocked Phil Taylor out of the world champs, and then lost to Kirk Shepherd in the next round. And you do have this this effect that sometimes these players have. They get this massive result. He even said it in his interview after the game. Oh, for now, I'm just gonna enjoy this result. Like, if you're a big player going to win this event, you're already looking at the next one, aren't you? So fair play to him, biggest win of his career. Remains to be seen whether he can follow it up. I hope he can.
Well, from one career best performance to another, because Ricky Evans managed to average over 100 on TV pretty much for the first time I can remember in any format longer than 5 or 6 legs. And then, he's got beat 4-0 by Michael van Gerwen. I mean, incredible, really. I've really enjoyed this game. Really enjoyed it. Fast pace, obviously. Van Gerwen was rattling in the 180s. I said that sooner or later Van Gerwen's going to smash his 180s line. I think he got 6 or 7 last week. Last night the line was set at 4.5. Yeah, Van Gerwen's average 108.9 in his first game, 106.8 in his second game. Ominous is the word we even used on a video title the other day. That's what it looked like. I mean, I've got it wrong earlier. I said Ricky Evans lost all 4 sets 3-2. No, the first set was 3-1, and then the next 3 sets were 3-2. But I mean,
well, even that first set, he was very much in it, wasn't he?
Yeah. How he didn't win a set was quite remarkable. But fair play to Ricky Evans. Van Gerwen, I mean, is absolutely fantastic on the cover shots. He was it in the 180s. I can't really remember I can't remember a leg where he's chased around the doubles, which he's been doing previously, where he's had 6, 7, 8 missed doubles in the same leg. I don't think that happened at all last night. I don't think he come back empty-handed on the doubles with a full set in hand once, to be honest. He goes on to play Joe Cullen, and on the level shown so far, I think he'll batter Joe Cullen, to be honest, 5-0 or 5-1. Sorry, it's still only in best of 7 sets in the 4th round. Sorry, so 4-0 or 4-1 would be my prediction.
Yeah, well, look, got to break this game down first, and I want to start with Ricky Evans. I mean, fair play to him. That was a lot of people saying career best performance, and it won't be far off. But Ricky has ability. We've seen Ricky Evans show it, but it's been a little while since he's shown it on the TV, to be honest. He's become a bit of the whipping boy of the top 32, where no one ever puts him up to do anything in the TV tournaments because he's failed to hit the heights in recent times. But yeah, I was delighted to see Ricky Evans put in a performance, and let's just hope he could get himself out of that 32 position so he doesn't have to play Van Gerwen next year, because it'd be nice for him to have a change. You see, this is 2 years in a row he's been brushed 4-0 by Michael Van Gerwen, albeit last year it was a lot less competitive. He was out of there in half an hour, to be honest. This was a much better game. As you say, 100 average would have been enough to beat virtually anyone else in this round. He's just unfortunate, and you could see Ricky at times in the legs. He was leaving a finish after 9 darts and not coming back to the board, and he was just sat there shaking his head. He couldn't believe it, but believe it, that's MVG at his best, and it's brutal to watch, to be honest. There was a 150 that he took I think Evans would get a 167 for the set. He hit the treble 20, treble 19, and then hit the 25 going for the bull. Now, anyone would think he'd be back on 150, but of course, MVG had to go treble 18, treble 18. Absolutely. And then they hit the double. Absolutely brutal. And yeah, now I'm going to, fair play to Ricky Evans. Now I'm going to focus on Michael van Gerwen. And I just want to talk a little bit about Michael van Gerwen's, the chinks in his armour, because it can be very easy to look at a couple of Michael van Gerwen performances like we've seen and think this man's unbeatable. The market has reacted. Naturally, he's into a general 6-5 to win the tournament now. Now, the problem we've seen with Michael van Gerwen when he hasn't won world championships, because you've got to look at it on the form. There's been times that he's gone on and won it and looked imperious, and there's been times where he's looked really good and then been knocked out. The point that I would like to make is Van Gerwen's issues are not in the quality of his game, which is unquestionable. He's the best darts player on the planet. His problems come in the mind, mentally. And I think Van Gerwen has opponents that he respects and thinks are a genuine threat to him, and opponents that he doesn't really think are a genuine threat to him. And rightly or wrongly, although Ricky Evans played superbly, I think he sees Ricky Evans not as a threat. He knows even if Ricky Evans plays like he did last night, I'll beat him. I'm better than Ricky Evans. Now, he's coming into the realms now, Van Gerwen, where he's going to play players who have beaten him. Joe Cullen, for example, has beaten him twice in finals this year. Dimitri Vandenberg has beaten him on television. So it gets a bit different from here on in. I've been extremely impressed with him. You can't fail to be impressed with him. But sustaining that level, as the pressure rises, and don't underestimate how much nerves will play a factor in the later rounds. Van Gerwen wants world titles more than anything. His entire year is built around the world championships. Now, when he inevitably gets into a tighter game, because I'll tell you now, he's not going to win every game 4-0, averaging 109. It's just not going to happen. And if it does, I'm going to look like an idiot. But I'll call it. His level will drop for a couple of sets somewhere, and he will inevitably be playing a good player who is capable of making it interesting at the very least. And there are the moments where we'll judge Michael van Gerwen. When Simon Whitlock has asked questions of him at big moments this year, he hasn't always had the answers. Someone will put in a Simon Whitlock style performance somewhere in this tournament. We're thinking it's going to be Dimitri Vandenberg, but Joe Cullen, to be fair, has beaten him twice in finals this year. Joe Cullen, I'm not going to say he has his number, because Van Gerwen's head-to-head record with him is vastly superior, but don't discount him, and don't discount Dimitri. The market has reacted as I expected it would. It looks very, very impressive, but there's bigger and tougher questions ahead for MVG.
Yeah, I was just looking last night to think that MVG, before the World Cup, so in early November, he was 9-2 to win this tournament, which is
crazy, isn't it?
Mind-boggling. And then even after he won the Players' Championships finals, he was 5-2-ish, 2-1. Now, as you say, Pieman, I think his best price is 11-8. Yeah, there's a massive disparity between him and the chasing pack. I mean, and the chasing pack at the moment that are below 20-1, there's only two players: Gerwin Price, that hasn't been brilliant so far, and Vandenberg, who has been pretty.
What was his price coming into the tournament, Adam? 5-2, was it?
It was about 2-1 maximum. Yeah, right. It was starting to short.
Let's just look at it. Let's take the performance levels out of it, which I know some people will say, well, you can't do that. Well, I'm going to do it, right? Take the performance levels out of it, right? He's come in as a 2-1, 5-2 chance. He's beaten Ryan Murray and Ricky Evans, right? Ryan Murray and Ricky Evans. Yes, he's played well. Yes, them two players played well. But in my opinion, Michael van Gerwen doesn't believe either of those players deserve to be on the stage with him. He thinks he knew whatever happened, he would beat them, and therefore he comes out with a mindset of relaxed, comfortable, play my game like playing a practice session. He's coming into these. He's going to be playing players that he respects and he's worried about. And I'm telling you, Michael van Gerwen's game, it's all in his mind. If he has a dip against these better players and he gets embroiled into a game that goes 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, that's when we get asked big questions of MVG. And I've seen a few times this year, doesn't always have the answers. So I'm not getting as giddy about these performances as everyone else. I'm very impressed. I agree he's the man to beat, but I do still believe I firmly believe he's beatable.
Yeah, well, Pieman, they're making a case against Van Gerwen. I mean, I've been very impressed so far. I think his toughest game of the whole tournament could possibly be Dimitri in the quarterfinal. I think he'll have nothing to worry about in the potential semi-final against whoever comes through quarter two. So yeah, that I thought that. I mean, we looked at the draw. I said that he would waltz through to the quarterfinal, and that's pretty much what he's doing so far. Yeah, the first and possibly only major test will be against Dimitri van den Bergh, but there's plenty of water to pass under the bridge before then. So that was our look back on day 10. We'll keep the content coming, and thanks for tuning in, folks.
Cheers, guys.